Guys, what's up? It's Calysta. Hella excited to be with you guys right now because we are going to be talking about the latest update from Lords Mobile all around familiars, which are basically monsters that you can train like pets that have a variety of different skills ranging from resource production all the way to some serious combat skills, which we'll talk about in a second. There is a lot to get through, guys. I'm going to be doing a bit of a series when it comes to familiars, just basically breaking it out into very digestible content that you guys can figure out quickly what to do and what everything does. So this particular video is going to focus exclusively on the buildings. So everyone, when they updated their game, should have seen this building right here. I have a level 18. It is basically your monster hold. Your monster hold is basically the place that holds your monsters. So it's not doing anything spectacular here, guys. The reason that you're going to need to keep leveling it up is it needs to be leveled up in order to level up your other 3 buildings. And that's where we're going to spend the majority of our time talking. Now, there's going to be 3 buildings that we can build. The first one is a spring. The second is a mystic spire. And the last one is a gem. So we're going to talk about each one of them. I'm going to give you guys my recommendation in terms of how many of each to build and why. But as always, this is what makes the game so cool. It's up to you, right? So everybody has their own unique situation. Some of you guys are going to be pay to play. Some of you are going to be free to play. Some of you spend a ton. Some of you spend every now and then. All that stuff is going to influence your decision making on this, right? So I'm going to try to give you as much content as I can and give you guys all the knowledge that I have and that I've gotten from not only just talking to people, but also my guild. We've been talking about this all day, as I'm sure everybody else has too. So the first building that we're going to talk about is this one over here, which is called a spring. So what does a spring do? So the way to think about a spring, guys, is to think about it as a resource building. It is basically creating something called anima. In this case, let's think of anima as your resource. So again, the springs are very important because they are giving you anima. Anima is going to be important as you're thinking about doing anything having to do with familiars. Really takes anima. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a few springs there. You're definitely not going to have the least number of the buildings will not be springs. Like, you're probably going to have the most number of buildings will be springs because you want to make sure that you're creating enough. The good thing is, in addition to the buildings, just like the other resources, there are researches that are going to help improve your anima output. And there's going to be another video that I'm going to make around the familiars, also around their research, so we were going to talk about that then. But that's what this does. Now, my recommendation for the number of springs is 4. And I've played around with this a little bit. I'll show you guys my setup right now. You can see I have an empty space there, right? So I have been playing around with this. I'm not kidding you guys. I don't have any insider knowledge here. Like, this is like, I'm trying to test and trial and try to do some trial and error, like on the fly, to be able to come to you guys with what I've seen. So what I've seen is, based on how many spires and gyms I'm going to recommend, it makes most sense to have 4 springs, okay? So that's my recommendation for springs, and that's what it does. Now let's go to the next one. This one's a little bit more complicated. This one is called a mystic spire. So what does a mystic spire do? So let's go into something called packs. Everyone, when they open up this game and they start playing and they have a Mystic Spire, is going to be able to have access to these Pact 1A and Pact 1B. These packs basically give you access to the familiars. The familiars are the monsters. So let's click Pact 1A so you guys can see. So you can see Pact 1A, you'll randomly get one of the items below. So you're going to get either one of those 5 monsters or a fragment. If you run this particular pact over and over again and you start to get duplicate monsters, they won't be duplicates. You will actually get additional fragments, which are great because that's what you need to train them in the gym. So what I did was, because I kind of peeked ahead, I wanted to figure out what I could show you guys that I thought would be a cool monster that I would actually want to train. And out of all of them, you're going to see a lot of these guys are really focused on things like, let's see what this guy does. The max strength preview, right? So he's going to give you additional STA. There's the gnome. This one's actually kind of neat because he helps your gold production, but a lot of these were very kind of resource focused. Some of these will help with troop travel speed. I will be honest with you guys, I don't recommend those. I don't think they're kind of worth it. But what I feel is a lot of you guys are going to be so excited that those are going to be the first few monsters you're going to get, and you're just going to start training them and using your anima on them. I skipped ahead, and what I saw was when I went to pack 2B, there was this neat little familiar called a Pyrus. And you can see what he does there. The first thing is he gives you extra supplies, womp, total womp. Then he also reduces transmutation time. Didn't really care about that, but I really loved his max blazing trail. His attack skill was actually pretty cool, right? He kills 3,000 to 5,000 troops in an enemy's barracks. This guy is targeting the lower tier troops first, right? His max strength will be 7,500 to 12,500 troops in an enemy's barracks. Again, targeting the lower tier troops first, which isn't great. The big Mama Jamma familiar, and I'm going to be making also a video on familiars just in general to give you guys an overview on it. But if you look at Pact 4, this is the guy that everybody talks about. This is the guy that's scaring everyone, right? Because look at the amount of troops that he kills, and he is going to go after higher tier troops. So those of you bigger players that are sitting on 10 or 15 million size meat shields, right? And you always feel like your T4 are protected. This guy is going to come from behind, and that's who he's going to kill. And the thing that's important about these particular skills are that they do go through shields. So that's the thing that was like the rumor that was floating around. That is true. It does go through shields. I have not seen it in action yet. When I do, I will try to get it on video and show you guys. For sure, the bigger, really high spending guilds are going to be gunning to max that guy out. Because if you have a bunch of people that have that guy maxed out and you'll target the same player, it's going to be rough, right? There are additional researches that we'll go through in the research video that can help ward off against that, but you need to be online. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to talk about that makes it a little bit more complicated. So it's going to be definitely a very like defensive type game, as some of these skills can be pretty devastating if targeted to the same player. So in terms of the spears, what this does is it basically helps you create packs. Now, the reason that these packs are important is that if you click on a pack can give you a Pyrus, it can give you a Boulder, a Krabby. This is for pack 2B. So I unlocked it by going through the research tree. And it can also give you fragments, right? It can give you 4 fragments, 3 or 2. The reason that I recommend 2 spires is for the following. So if you click here, you can see the number of packs merged as well as the skill stones. Those help you level up your monster or your familiar in this case. And these stack. So the number of packs that you can merge will stack depending on the number of spires that you have. So if I have a level 18 spire, that allows me to merge 5 packs. If I have a level 8 spire, it allows me to merge 2 packs, right? So that basically gives me the opportunity to do 7 packs altogether, right? And the reason that you want to do that is because it helps you from a research perspective, from an anima perspective. You can get a lot more done. I don't recommend any more than 2 because, to be quite frank, you do need the anima in early game. You're going to need a lot of it, right? So it makes most sense to run with the 2 spires, 4 springs. And then from a gems perspective, I recommend 2 gems. This is why. The gems, basically what it allows you to do is the more number of gems you have, the more number of familiars you can have training at the same time. Now, I know everybody's super excited about this update. I am too. But you don't want to train familiars that are completely useless, right? Like when you do your packs, you get random familiars. You can't dictate what familiars you get. That's the thing. You can't say, I want the Pyrus, I'm going to get it. You basically run 9 packs at a time, and then randomly they start popping up, and you get what you get, and you don't get upset. So because it is random, you're going to get a lot of familiars that you may not be interested in. I wouldn't recommend training them if you're not going to use them for anything, or if you don't think their skills are beneficial to you. So for me, where I am right now, 2 slots to train monsters feels good enough. Like, I don't think I need any more than that. So again, my recommendation is 4 springs, 2 spires, 2 gems. Now, you're going to see people saying 3 springs, 3 spires, 2 gems, or 5 springs, 2 spires, 1 gem. Like, you're going to see a ton of different suggestions depending on how they want to play this. Totally cool and totally fine. There's no wrong way to do this, right? This is just the way that I recommend. People may not agree with it and they'll have their own reasoning. I'm trying to provide mine. So again, as usual, it is your decision in terms of what you should do. Now, this is going to take a while, right, to max all these buildings out. What I've been doing is, you'll notice, because I was still kind of not sure exactly which buildings I was going to keep, I maxed out, not really maxed out, but got to level 18, at least one of each type of building, so I could get like kind of the benefit, right, of additional packs and additional anima being created. But then for the other ones, you're going to see like a level 8, because I was still trying to figure out, like, what does this do? Like, does it stack? Does it not stack? What is the impact? Because I wanted to come back to you guys with a recommendation. So again, my recommendation: 4 springs, 2 spires, 2 gyms. There is a lot to do and a lot to think about when it comes to these particular buildings. They are really easy to level up in the beginning. They don't take a ton of anything. Like, they don't take a ton of resources in the beginning, as buildings tend not to. But as we start leveling them up, obviously the time takes longer, and we need to start thinking through that a little bit. Please stay tuned. I am going to be releasing a couple of additional videos on this. The next one is going to be deep diving on research. Then after that, we're going to be talking about the actual monsters. I'm going to try to put them in groups so you guys can kind of figure out which ones you guys want to go for. And then I foresee, like, as the game progresses and people start getting a little bit more kind of used to this, and I can explore this a lot more, there's probably additional content to come. I'm sure people have questions. Feel free to put your comments down below, just what you think, what you're running. Again, there's no right or wrong answer, right? Like, we're here to learn from each other. So feel free to put questions down below or comments. And as usual, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this update.